We are very excited about having you all here. I am Diana Franco, Executive Director of WE NYC and Launch Initiatives at the Department of Small Business Services. For those who are new, WE NYC stands for Women Entrepreneurs of New York City, and it is the official initiative of the City of New York to empower women entrepreneurs to start and operating businesses. So thank you very much for attending to our first WE NYC virtual event. We know that being an entrepreneur is challenging, especially during this pandemic. Thankfully, there are many new resources created to help you overcome these difficulties. In today's event, we will cover just a few of them. It is not possible to cover everything in 1 hour, but we are committed to producing a series of events like this one to talk about all the available coronavirus economic relief programs. So this is just the first. Particularly, I would like to invite you to our next intervention. That's a one-on-one economic relief credit consultations. You will need to make your appointment, and to make your appointment, you just need to visit our website, WE.nyc. And in general, stay tuned because there are many things coming to help you. One thing that we need to be aware is, like, let's face it, the world as we knew it a month ago, it may never be the same. And it is sad. But where people see problems, entrepreneurs see solutions. Where people see challenges, entrepreneurs see opportunities. Entrepreneurs are resilient, resourceful, and doers. They do fix problems. So please don't give up. Don't give up now. The world needs people like you now more than ever. Okay, I want to make this short because there are so many things, there are so many exciting things coming in this webinar. So I would like to take just this opportunity to thank our partners. Without them, this event and many of the things we do wouldn't be possible. So thanks to Dig Down Media, who is providing the technology for this event. Thanks to them, we are able to produce this today in this platform. I also want to thank our sister initiative, Women.nyc. That's different than WE NYC. Women.nyc is a city initiative that helps women in several fields areas beyond entrepreneurship. Learn more about them in their website, obviously, Women.nyc. Okay, so we are ready to start. It is my pleasure to welcome our speakers. Kate Angeles, Director of Capital Access in our agency, the Department of Small Business Services. And also, Ramona Cedeno. She is one of the WE NYC mentors, but also the founder, CEO, and a CPA of Fabric Financial Services. So they will start this conversation with you. You are welcome. This webinar will be recorded and we will send it after it finishes in our thank you notes to you all. Thank you very much.
We're just waiting now for Kate to join us. She's getting in right now, and we're going to add her to the screen. Ramona, would you like to get us started while we're waiting for Kate to join?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here and to help provide some information to all the business owners that we love out there. I know that these are very difficult times, so anything we can do to help, we welcome to. And for those that don't know me, Ramona Cedeno, I am a CPA, like Diana mentioned. I have an accounting practice, and my objective through the practice is to help entrepreneurs manage their finances better so they can run and grow their businesses. And I'm a mentor at WE NYC. I love being a mentor, and I am, they do great things, and this is a great program that they put together for you. I hope we take a lot out of it, and looking forward to chatting more later on.
I'm so glad to be here and really be in front of you. Putting on a dress and makeup this morning just somehow made me feel a little bit better. So thank you so much for joining us. I will be speaking a little bit more about the resources that the city has so actively been working to put together for small businesses since really the outbreak of COVID-19 broke earlier this month. And so there's a lot of resources that we are here to share with you. As many of you know, the resources and information changes quite constantly. And so Ramona and I really want to be able to answer your questions today and provide you with some of the initial resources that we are aware of and are trying to make available to small businesses. So I really hope that this will be an informative session and really serve as a tool for you being able to access the resources that you need this time. So with that, I want to provide some clarity on a few of the programs that we rolled out early in March when we initially began to see the impacts of COVID-19 affecting our small businesses across New York City. The mayor announced two separate programs, one being a grant program, the other being a loan program, and we've really been working to get both of those products up and running and launched. The grant program already has served over 1,200 small businesses in New York City, and we've deployed about $10 million in that grant fund. On average, small businesses are accessing about $7,800 for that grant program. And so it really has been quite active in responding to the small business employee retention needs across the city. That said, we know that it doesn't meet all the needs, and so we also established a small business continuity loan program. This is a loan program that is available to larger businesses. The total loan amount goes up to $75,000, and it's at a 0% interest rate. For the New York City Employee Retention Grant Program, this program is available for small businesses who have fewer than 5 employees and are really looking for a stopgap to help support their payroll needs for their employees within the next upcoming 2 months. So, Cody, if you want to go back to that other slide, I just want to point out, if you've got a pen, just jot down these two websites. Well, it's one website. Both of the product information is available at nyc.gov/COVID-19biz. This is really the most up-to-date resource for all of the information that the city is gathering, just both in terms of resources that we are putting together and other resources such as the SBA that we're working hard to get our small businesses connected to. We can go to the next slide. I want to provide a little bit more context on the grant program. As I mentioned, we've really been successful in deploying over 1,200 grants to small businesses. And as such, really the whole purpose of this program was to be able to provide some initial capital to small businesses for their employees in anticipation of larger federal funds becoming available. And so many of you may have heard or be aware that there will be an SBA program that will become available this upcoming Friday, tomorrow. And so we will simultaneously be closing out our Small Business Employee Retention Grant Program tomorrow, starting at 5 o'clock. What does this mean for you as a business owner? So some of you may have already applied for this grant. You're already in queue. Your application is currently being processed. You will be notified of your application. If there are certain documents, perhaps that you still needed to upload, those can still be uploaded. There will be a grace period allotted to individuals who are working to get their applications complete. What the deadline means for this upcoming Friday at 5 p.m. is that we will not be accepting new applications for this grant program. So if you yourself have fewer than 5 employees who are listed on payroll, you can go ahead and still apply for this grant. You just know that the application deadline will end tomorrow. So what I want to do now is just provide some additional details on the actual program. We've received a lot of questions about how the actual grant product works. And so just some general eligibility criteria that exists is listed on the bottom of the PowerPoint here. Number one, all businesses who apply for the grant must be located in one of our New York City boroughs. You must be doing business within the city. You must have a registered business operating address within the city. Some entities might, let's say you might be registered, you did a Delaware registration, that's fine, but we need to see though as proof that you have an NYC business address. So that could be indicated on your bank statements, it could be indicated on a lease, it could be provided on your business tax returns. What we're looking for is some verification that you do in fact have a business location or business operations within New York City. Additionally, there is a participation affidavit that all applicants need to sign. This is both for the grant and for the loan. On that affidavit, you are verifying that you do in fact have business operations within New York City. Second point of eligibility is that you must be able to demonstrate that COVID-19 caused at least 25% of your revenues to decrease. I'll go through some specifics on how we're actually calculating that. This is a criteria for both the loan and for the grant. And so it's really important to understand what we're looking for in terms of what you as a business owner will need to provide in order to demonstrate that 25% decrease. In terms of the number of employees, I already mentioned this, but you do need to demonstrate that you have 1 to 4 employees across all of your locations. In addition, those employees need to be on payroll. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you have been paying them either through some sort of paychecks account. You need to provide some sort of proof of voided checks. Perhaps you have a payroll system and you can actually pull a report. We need to see that those individuals are actually registered as employees. 1099 employees do not count. So anybody who's receiving a W-2, even if that is in fact you as an owner, if you are taking a W-2, you are eligible for the program. We just need to be able to see proof that you are paying yourself formally through payroll. Next, business operation. We are requiring that all businesses be in business for at least the past 6 months. And then finally, that there are no outstanding tax liens or legal judgments. So this is sort of the initial criteria. I want to go ahead and speak a little bit more to the revenue criteria. This is a common question that we get from our applicants, so I want to be sure everybody's clear on what you will need to actually upload to your application. So how do you demonstrate the 25% revenue loss? What we're doing is we'll be asking you to provide your monthly bank statements, perhaps your a P&L for the 2-month period. We'll be asking you for if you have sales transaction summaries. Let's say you have a Square account or you do have some other type of online processing system. What we'll be asking is that you upload 2 months of statements from the period in which you experienced the loss. So for example, this could be February 2020 and March 2020. And then simultaneously, we'll be asking you to upload that same corresponding month statements for the year of 2019. If you are not in business in 2019, obviously you will not be able to provide that, but we will be asking you to further attest that you did in fact you were in fact operating for the last 6 months. As such, we will be asking you to provide your 2019 total revenue. I'm having a technical issue in which my computer is about to shut down, so I need to just pause real quickly. If people have questions, please begin to put them in the chat and we can address them towards the end. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'm back. So I'm sure that's never happened to anyone else before. What I want to do is walk through the actual document checklist that you will be able to kind of utilize to demonstrate this proof. Again, I mentioned that we are accepting bank statements. We'll also be accepting point of sales reports. If you have bank transaction summaries, we'll accept that as well. Some of you might have quarterly sales tax filings. We can utilize these, and then your 2019 tax returns or any type of profit and loss that you would be producing for this time period. In addition, since we are now in April and there was essentially a state of emergency that was issued by the governor on March 22nd, we also are allowing businesses to indicate if they were in fact forced to close their business in March. There is a separate affidavit addendum that is on the website that is available to businesses to indicate if they did in fact have to close due to the executive order. We were also allowing that to be sufficient proof that you in fact had a decrease in revenue that would make you eligible for the grant or for the loan. In order to process this, we're gonna ask you to upload all of those statements into your application. So the application, as I mentioned, is listed on the New York City website. There's a direct link where you will essentially log in, create an account, upload your documentation, and then you'll be connected to an SBS representative once your application is received and in the process of being reviewed. That process is eligible for both the grant and the loan, so just want to be sure that I am clear with everybody who's considering either or program. You will need to provide that level of documentation no matter what program you're applying for. Some people have asked, can I apply for both the grant and the loan? If you are eligible for the grant, so for example, you have fewer than 5 employees and meet the other eligibility requirements, you can in fact go ahead and also apply for the loan. That is actually indicated on the grant application. You'll be able to click a link check a box rather that says I am also interested in applying for the loan. So know that you can do that. If you've already applied for the grant and you did not apply for the loan, you can also just go ahead and create a separate loan application. I want to provide some additional context on the actual loan program. So we'll go to the next slide here, and I can provide a little bit more specifics on this eligibility criteria. As I mentioned previously, the loan program is set at $75,000 per business, and the interest rate is being offered at 0%. The purpose of this loan program is to help businesses maintain continuity. So whereas the grant program specifically is for employee retention, the loan program can be utilized for working capital, can be utilized for payroll, really general needs that would enable you to maintain your operations as a business. The same criteria applies in terms of needing to be located in New York City, being able to demonstrate that you have your revenues have decreased at least by 25%, no tax liens or legal judgments, and then the two kind of distinct components of this product are that you can actually have a larger employee count. So whereas the grant, you have to have fewer than 5 employees for the loan, you have to have fewer than 99 employees. Again, employees refer to anybody on payroll. For this program as well, sole proprietors can also qualify for the loan program. So if you do not have employees, you will need to, you can still go ahead and apply. Just know that we'll be asking for your EIN, proof of business revenue, and other business registration documentation. And then you'll also need to be able to demonstrate an ability to repay the loan. This is what our lending partner will in fact be reviewing. So it's not part of the initial application process with SBS, but know that you will need to provide some additional documentation in terms of your business financials and your historical financial position as a business in order for the lender to determine what your repayment rates and terms will be. Again, the interest rate is set at 0%. The term goes up to 5 years, and there is a 6-month period of deferred payments. So you do have essentially 6 months where you will not be required to make a monthly loan payment. That will then kick in after 6 months. Businesses are eligible to apply for this New York City small business continuity loan as well as an SBA loan. So applying for this loan does not prohibit you from applying for other financing. Just know that working with your lender, the lender is going to want to be able to verify that you have obviously sufficient cash flow to be able to make multiple loan payments. With that, I certainly see that we've got questions coming in. I do want to be sensitive to our time, and so I think at this point I'll transition a bit over to some of the other SBA products that will be available starting tomorrow, and invite Ramona to come in and speak. And then what we can do is go ahead and answer the questions at the end. We have a lot of resources at our SBS centers as well as our business solutions centers. So for individuals who have questions about these programs, know that there are SPS staff as well as business solutions staff available to answer your questions. Okay, with this, I just want to provide some additional context on the other programs, which are non-New York City SBS programs. Many of you have probably kept up in the news regarding the CARES Act that was recently passed. This program will essentially be providing additional financing and programs for small businesses who are both in need of support with payroll as well as other working capital needs. Ramona is going to provide some specific details on the programs as well as some of the eligibility criteria. There are lots of resources that are currently available on the SBA website. So if you do have questions, I suggest going to sba.gov/disaster. There you will find details related to the various programs that the SBA is offering. In addition, the SBA is offering technical support regarding these programs through all of the small business development centers. You can actually go onto their website and search for a small business development center that is in your borough. The small business development centers are currently staffed with individuals who are familiar with the different SBA products, and it can certainly provide general technical assistance regarding the funds and what you may be available or be eligible to qualify for. Additionally, I would say if you are currently working with a lender, perhaps you have a good banking relationship, maybe you've worked with a nonprofit lender, they are also going to be great points of contact in terms of understanding the SBA products that will be available to you. So I do suggest utilizing them as an additional resource as you begin to think through what types of financing needs make sense for you at this point in time. With that, I want to pass the mic over to Ramona and allow her to provide some additional information on these funds, and then we'll close out with questions. Hi, Ramona. This is Kate. We're having some issues hearing you right now. I think just give us 1 second. I think we'll have to try and figure out the mic situation.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now, but unfortunately, I think we'll have to have you back up a little bit and start from the beginning if you don't mind.
That's great. That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I said, thank you, Kate, initially. Kate. So as Kate mentioned, there are a few programs that are available now through the CARES Act, and the goal today is to give you an overview of what's available, general eligibility criteria, how you apply, but we recommend that you work with your banking institutions and you go to the SBA website to verify information because it keeps changing. It's going to change over the next few days, not everything, but things around terms or deadlines or some minor details that we would like for you to confirm. The CARES Act has, I think this is a great opportunity for us to leverage those resources and loans and programs available to us. I am happy with what I'm seeing, and I hope it works out for our business owners because there's a lot of flexibility in the programs, and some of them are quite generous, so hopefully we will all find that they are beneficial to us and we can take advantage of them. The first one that is getting a lot of attention is the Paycheck Protection Program, and we'll call it PPP for short. And this program, the main purpose of it is to help you retain your staff. So some of the provisions in this program will include, if there is a grant, for example, it will require that you keep your employees on staff or employed for a few weeks or a few months. And if not, then you might lose a little bit of the grant that you get. So let me go through this one. The PPP will allow you to get a loan of up to $10 million. This is based on payroll, and it's going to be the lower of 2.5 times your payroll, monthly payroll, or 10 million. And so if you have, let's say, 2 employees and they get $10,000 a month, that's $20,000, right? So in theory, you qualify for 2.5 times 20,000, which is about 50,000 or 50,000. If you have a lot more payroll, then the loan amount can potentially increase. And these loans are to be applied through your bank, so start contacting them as soon as possible. They go live this Friday, as Kate mentioned. So start making that call, get that email out to your banking relationship manager. The eligibility criteria for the PPP are you must have less than 500 employees. There are some exceptions depending on industry. So let's say you are in the restaurant industry, there might be some exceptions there. If you are a franchise, there is another exception there in terms of the number of employees and how they calculate those. The other criteria is that you must have been in operations as of February 15th of this year. So if your business was open after February 15th or incorporated, or you started doing business after February 15th, you might not be eligible. And the other thing that is I found very interesting and great is that your employees and independent contractors help you qualify for this. And this loan is available to solo owners and solo proprietorships and all other types of small business entities and potentially independent contractors. Some of the key features of this loan, which are some of them are really, really great, is one is you have the potential of deferring payments from 6 to 12 months. And this, of course, you will discuss with your bank, the bank that helps you apply for the loan. Right now, we have that the terms to repay the loan is 2 years. However, I have seen in the previous to yesterday this update that the terms were a little different. So I would ask you to confirm how much how long you have to repay the loan. And of course, as you go through the application process, you'll be able to ask this information. The other nice thing about this loan is that there is a potential for loan forgiveness of up to 8 weeks of operating expenses. And again, the goal is for you to retain your staff. So you can get up to 8 weeks of the loan forgiven, but if you don't retain your team, if you decrease if your salary goes down by more than 25%, or you decrease your headcount, that forgiveness portion might be reduced. And lastly, you have until June of this year to apply for this loan, and the application goes live tomorrow. So start making those calls again, send emails out, and take advantage of this if you believe you qualify, because it has very nice features, and we can take advantage of this forgiveness portion and the payment deferment. I think a lot of us can really benefit from this, and it's a great opportunity to get some funds in to help you continue to grow your business and sustain your business during this pandemic period. Great. The next nice program that the CARES Act includes is kind of an extension of the emergency economic injury loan that we had before CARES Act. So the disaster loan that Kate mentioned before was in place before the CARES Act bill was signed. And in the CARES Act, there is now a provision for borrowers to get a grant of $10,000 as part of these new loans. So if you already applied for the emergency economic injury loan, you might be able to get this grant, but I'd like you to confirm. As of now, if you start a new loan, emergency economic injury loan, you will be able to apply for the grant of $10,000. And some of the criteria for this one is that you must have less than 500 employees, similar to the other loan, but also you must have been in operations as of January 31st, 2020. So some of the key features of this loan are that grant of $10,000. Also, you do not need to repay the grant even if you are denied the loan. So when you apply for the grant and the loan, you might get the $10,000. Let's say you get denied the loan for whatever reason, the grant doesn't have to be repaid. If you like some of the features of the PPP, and because this is a new loan, so if you like the fact that the PPP has the forgiveness portion and the deferment of 6 to 12 months, you can refinance your emergency economic injury loan into a PPP and get some of the benefits of that loan instead. If you do that and you get a portion of the PPP forgiven, that will be reduced by any grants that you received through the emergency loan. As of now, we know that the emergency loan can be repaid with a maximum of 30 years, which is really great, and the loan can be of up to $2 million, and the rates that we have are 3.75, and all this information is available on the SBA website. This loan is actually open right now, and you can apply through December 2020. So with the PPP, you only have until June. With the emergency loan, you have until December 2020. Another provision of the CARES Act is the debt relief provision. And what this is allowing borrowers to do is get a forgiveness of previous debt with SBA. So this is for SBA loans, loans 7A, which are their traditional loans to help business owners, the 504, and the microloans. So for 6 months, the SBA will cover payments of these loans, including principal, interest, and some fees. And this is in place for loans that were open before the CARES Act, and for loans that are for new loans that you take on since within the first 6 months of the CARES Act being signed. You can still apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, but you cannot use the debt relief provision towards a PPP loan. These are treated as two different benefits that you can get. And other resources that we have available, and some of these are through the CARES Act and others are not. We might know about the deferral of income tax payments until June 15, which it was welcomed by a lot of taxpayers, and it applies to small businesses and also individuals. Small business owners can have their payroll taxes deferred for 2 years. So this would be payroll taxes for 2020. You have until 2022 to pay them. And I think that would be very helpful to a lot of business owners. And this is employer portion of the payroll taxes. Any employee withholdings will be due timely as in previous years, but it's just the employer's portion. Then we also have a payroll tax credit, and this is 50% of the first $10,000 of payroll related to what they are calling eligible wages. So eligible wages in this context refers to wages that you pay to your staff during the time that your business was in a critical condition. And this is when your business was actually not operational because of the crisis, or revenues decreased significantly. If you continue to retain your staff and you pay them and incur the payroll taxes related to those payments, those payroll taxes will be eligible for this credit. And now some states are also deferring sales tax payments. So this is going to be as of now, a lot of states are joining in this effort, but you should check with your states to see if your state has deferred sales tax payments. And this will be very helpful for, of course, anyone in selling a product, restaurants, manufacturing. This will be a great help for those small businesses. So this is an overview of the main points of the CARES Act and other resources that we have out there. There are a lot of websites with information. We recommend that you go to SBA first for anything that's related to SBA loans and programs. If you're looking for something specifically related to a state, you can go to the state's website or the city. In the case of New York City, we provided you the website before for all resources. And if you work with partners like you have a payroll provider, you have a CPA, and of course you banking relationship manager, you can contact them and they will be able to provide information specific to the service that they provide and help you navigate through this. And SBS is having those consultations to help you with some of the SBA resources and loan applications. Thank you, and that's all I have for now. I hope that we can answer some questions for you, and anything else, please let us know.
Thank you so much, Ramona. We're going to move on with the questions now. So for everyone that's joining us from afar, we are asking that you can ask your questions in the chat room, which is right on the right-hand side. And then please let us know who you're asking your question to. So if you want to ask Ramona, if you want to ask Kate, or if you have any questions for Ian about the platform that we use today, and their names are right here and their expertise is right here. So please let us know your questions in the chat and we'll get started. So we have one question already. Someone says, this is from Laura Greenman. I have already applied for small business continuity loan and economic injury disaster loan. Can I also apply for PPP?
For both of those.
Kate, sorry, can you start again?
Sure, I can take this one. So if you have applied for both the NYC Emergency Employee Retention Grant Program and the continuity loan, you can still apply for the PPP. It does not disqualify you. As I mentioned previously, the lender who you'll be working with for the PPP will just want to verify that you can both make payments for the loan continuity program as well as the PPP loan that you would be qualifying for.
And Kate, just a follow-up question to that. What is the difference between the federal grant and the SBS grant in terms of how much is available?
Sure. So the SBS grant for the employee retention goes up to $27,000 per business. And it's based on 40% of your 8-week payroll period. For the PPP program, I think Ramona covered this, but it goes up to 10 million, correct? And the calculation on the payroll is a bit different. Do you remember, Ramona, specifically what that calculation is?
2.5 times the average monthly average payroll.
Thank you.
Let me hear. Do you hear that?
Yep. Great, thank you. Question for you, Ramona. Would it be possible to get an example on actual numbers on how the PPP loan is forgiven if we keep the employees?
Yeah, so it's based on operating expenses. So if you take for 8 weeks, so if you take all your operating expenses, for example, rent, marketing, insurance, expenses that you actually incur to run your business that are reasonable and common in your industry, those will be your operating expenses. So 8 weeks worth of that, after you actually incur them, will be proof that you incurred.
And here's a question we've gotten a couple times. This could be for either Ramona or Kate. Can you apply, if you are a self-employed S Corp business with no payroll, can you apply for any of these programs?
Well, I saw for both programs, in general, it covers that. It covers any sole proprietorship, other registered agents, entities. So you have something, Kate? Sorry.
No, can you say that again? You're cutting out.
Oh, okay. So based on what I have searched and read, it's that the employees, not employees, sole owners of single owners, sole owners with no employees would also qualify.
For the PPP program, that's correct. I have, in my notes, you can be a sole prop, you can be an independent contractor, you can be a self-employed individual. For the New York City programs, for the loan program, you can be a sole prop, no need to have formal payroll. For the Employee Retention Grant Program, you must have demonstrated payroll, and you can only have fewer than 5 employees demonstrated on that payroll. You can be a sole prop if you do in fact include yourself in some form of formal payroll. However, again, you need to be able to demonstrate it through documents. So yes, in some, yes, it is, you're eligible for the loan with the New York City Small Business Continuity Program. And if you are a sole prop, you need to be able to demonstrate that in order, you need to be able to demonstrate payroll to be eligible for the grant.
Kate, another question we have, this is from Diana King. They have a bar and our business was shut down on 3/16, so we can only show significant losses in March. April will be devastating. Is it better to wait or will money be gone?
So you can still go ahead and apply. There is an affidavit that is an addendum to the initial affidavit that you'll need to sign for the program. So the addendum affidavit indicates that you were forced to close your business due to the executive order issued by the governor. If that is the case, you can submit that addendum along with your previous years of 2 months of revenue. We will review that addendum. If you are one of the businesses that was forced to close, we are accepting that as sufficient proof that you have had a decrease in revenue. So please go to the website. If the addendum should be up later today. We currently were uploading that as of yesterday. So if you don't see it immediately on the website right now, I would check by the end of the day and it should be available. So you can go ahead and apply. Just know that you'll have to complete that additional addendum.
Another question we have here for solopreneurs or freelancers. What are your thoughts on applying for PUA or DUA with the state and applying for EIDL? So I don't know if you know all those acronyms already, Kate or Ramona, but
I don't know the first two.
PUA or DUA?
No.
No? Does anyone know what the EIDL is?
That's the emergency loan. Yes. What was the question?
For a solopreneur who is a freelancer, what are your thoughts on applying for PUA or DUA with the state and applying for EIDL?
Yes, so the emergency loan covers businesses that are sole proprietorship. That's different from being an independent contractor. So
pandemic unemployment. It was PUA, pandemic unemployment assistance.
I'm not familiar with that one. That's probably on the individual side, not from the business side. But that's available. That's not like it's to individuals via unemployment claim.
Kate, a follow-up question for the grant program. What is the deadline for employers to know if they will receive the employee retention grant?
Sure. Everybody should be notified by the end of this month. As I mentioned, the grant application is closing. New applications are closing tomorrow at 5 p.m. There will obviously be a bit of a lag time for us to be able to process all final applications, as well as notify applicants of any outstanding documentation or clarification that we might need to process their grant. So all applicants will know by the end of the month.
So this is an interesting question. Hi, Kate and Ian. I have a live events production company. I was funded by an investor. As Corona shut down all live events, our investor has moved on. Would we be eligible? And we've received actually a few different questions about those people that have investors in their companies and whether they're eligible for funding.
Well, I will say for our program, the grant program, you need to be in business for 6 months. So depending on how far along you are in your business, that may or may not preclude you from qualifying for the grant. The loan right now, for the New York City program, we are asking that businesses be in operations for 2 years. And so that could preclude you from actually qualifying for the loan. In terms of the use of funds, I think it doesn't necessarily matter how your company is funded. For these programs, you need to be able to demonstrate, obviously, that you had a loss in revenue, that you're a New York City business, And then for the case of the grant, you need to be able to demonstrate that you actually had payrolled employees. So it's not a matter, I think, of where you're getting your funding. It's just a matter of, are you in business for the appropriate amount of time for these programs? And then can you demonstrate the loss and demonstrate employees if needed?
Another question for you, Kate. At our theater company, we have electricians, laborers on payroll when we do productions, which will make the staff over 5, but we only have 2 staff year round. Are we eligible for the NYC Employee Retention Grant?
That's a good question. Right now, what we're looking at is all individuals who are on your most recent payroll. You'll need to submit payroll for the last 8 weeks. Florencia, I know, is on our team, and she's been working closely on that grant. I think that's a bit of a nuanced question. I don't have a complete answer, but I know we have been reviewing similar applications. My suggestion at this point would be there is a support request that you can fill out on our COVID-19 website through NYC SBS. I would upload that question there. Our grants team has really been working through some of these nuanced questions, and they'll be able to provide you with a direct answer related to that question. Florencia, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to jump in.
Kate, we have another question. This at events and for the foreseeable future events will be canceled. This will prevent me from making any income. I do not have rent to worry about or payroll of others other than myself. I'm not clear which grant is best for me.
So there's no demonstrated payroll for that individual. We need to be able to see some demonstration of payroll, whether that be through paychecks or through a W-2. We need to be able to see that there is actual demonstrated payroll for the grant. For the loan, it's not required. So the individual, you would be able to qualify for the loan without needing to demonstrate that payroll.
Great. Another question we have. We would like to retain 2 employees for a construction company that has been deemed non-essential at the moment and would like to continue to give them work and keep them on the payroll. Do we qualify for the grants loans as a non-essential business?
So the question is they are considered non-essential. You've not been forced to close the business, and you still are planning to operate. If you have fewer than 5 employees, which it sounds like that's the case, you are eligible to apply for the grant. For the loan, you would need to be able to demonstrate a certain percentage of revenue loss. Same for the grant. So in the case that you're still operating, we would need to see that your sales have dipped over the past 2 months. I will mention we do have one other program for contractors who have city work. That's the Contract Financing Loan Fund. That program is also available. Again, if you are a contractor and have city work, you would be able to qualify for that program. It sounds like, given the parameters that you described, you would be eligible for that product as well.
Another question, and we've received this a couple times. Will our credit score be run multiple times if we apply for the grant and loan? Will this affect our credit score? Another follow-up question for that is, how are they checking credit scores for some of these applications?
Sure. So for the New York City Employee Retention Grant, we are not pulling credit. It is not a criteria. We are not reviewing it. It will not hit your credit. It will not impact your credit score. For the loan, I want to be clear, there are really 2 steps that are part of the loan process. One is completing the SBS application. At that point, we are just simply asking you to provide us with an idea of what your credit score is. We are not processing we are not pulling your credit at that point in time. If you are eligible for the loan, you will then be notified and provided a link to our lender. Our lender has an online application in which you will upload all of your financial documents. At that point, the lender will be pulling your credit, and you will see that inquiry on your credit report. In terms of credit criteria, for the loan, the minimum credit score is 550. So we are trying to be flexible, knowing that we really don't want credit to be discriminating in terms of what individuals are able to qualify for, especially during this time. So do know for the grant, we are not pulling credit. For the loan, your credit will be pulled if you are in fact going to be the second part of the application.
So Lauren was asking a question. The lender sees a completely different score from what you see. So this was a question we received earlier. She wants to know what is the platform they're using to check credit scores with the loan applications on the lender side, because she's seeing a different credit score when she goes to check her personal credit.
That's a good. So typically, if you are looking at your own credit score, like through, I know some of us have apps on our phones. It's not a hard pull, and so oftentimes that number does not directly correspond to the credit score that is showing when the lender actually pulls the credit. Typically, there is a bit of variance between the actual points that you'll see on your phone app through, let's say, TransUnion or Experian. The lender is using reviewing the 3 different credit reports from Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So I would suggest if you have an idea of what your score is based upon, Credit Karma or one of your credit card apps, know that there might be a degree of variation once the hard pull is actually pulled in by the lender. Ramona, I don't know if you've got other tips on that, but that tends to be typical when you are in fact doing a hard pull versus a soft pull.
Right. No, that is correct. For some of the other loans, there is no personal guarantee. So the PPP, there is none, and then for the emergency loan, there is a minimum. There is an amount that is not personal guarantee, and then after you reach that, you don't have an amount, but you might be able to also the loan regardless of how your credit score. But your banks will help you with that.
Ramona, we have another question for you. This is Susan Wilbur. She says, I have been trying to find a list of SBA approved lenders. All links lead to the SBA lender page, but there are no lists. Will those become available tomorrow? Citibank has no info for me yet, but I'm on a waiting list for them to contact me.
So the first stop for me would be for you to go to your bank. But if your bank is Citibank and they are not participating, then I would go to other small business friendly banks like Santander, HSBC, Wells Fargo, let's say, right? I don't have a list either of approved lenders, but I do know that both those other banks are working. I have gotten emails already from HSBC, Santander, Wells Fargo about the program. So I'm surprised the bank is not participating, but you will find other options.
And a question for both of you, because we keep receiving this question. What should a solopreneur do? What grants and or loans should a solopreneur take advantage of in the next day or in the coming weeks?
So I think in the case of that they might not qualify for that. But for the other loans, for the PPP and the emergency loans, if they are solopreneurs, and there is a distinction. So I don't know if this is clear to everyone, but there is a distinction between filing as a sole proprietorship and being a contractor. So this is determined by the way you file the return. And some of for both loans, the emergency loan, PPP will cover sole proprietorship. These are businesses these are solo owners.
Ramona,
yes.
I think we're having some audio issues with you.
Oh.
Would you mind repeating that?
But you can. I'm on audio, right?
No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Just was.
Got it. Let me get a little closer. So both the PPP and the emergency loan will cover sole proprietorship, and they are business owners that are operating as a business. It might not be an LLC, they might not be an S corp. They're operating as a business, maybe as a DBA or under their own name, but when they file a return, they're filing a C that shows income and expense. So this
Ramona,
type of,
sorry, the audio quality is just going in and out. Yeah.
I think I can answer. I think there's just like a question about the PPP and you know, what type of entities can apply and qualify. So I've got some notes here. Ramona, feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect, but individuals or businesses that are included in PPP include sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals. So if you are an LLC and you have independent contractors, you would qualify under this program. The employee maximum number is 500 employees. So depending on the size of your business, that may limit you from qualifying. But again, sole props, independent contractors, and self-employed are included in this. S Corp would be a part of that. You are a general business corporation, and so S Corp is also part of that list.
We have another question here. Our payroll is paid through our sister company. Can we apply for the employee retention grant and submit records from the sister company?
If the sister company has fewer than 5 employees, if the sister company is located in New York City, yes. We are saying that the payroll employee retention grant is available for New York City businesses, and so you do really need to meet those criteria. If it's just a matter of processing and you're using them as sort of a third-party processor, then I think just indicating that on the grant application is sufficient. We just want to emphasize that they need to be fewer than 5 employees. And so if the sister company has an aggregate list of all of the employees, let's say across multiple locations, my recommendation is that you separate out that payroll expense report. So what we are viewing is just relative to the business entity who is applying for the grant.
Another question we have here, we have a cafe bar and we decided to close it. All of our employees applied for unemployment. Do they still count, or do we rehire them to qualify for these programs?
So the purpose for the New York City grant, employee retention grant, is that you are applying for the program in order to maintain salaries for those employees. So the expectation is that you are using these funds to maintain existing employees. That is one of the stipulations that you're signing off on when you do sign the affidavit.
And Kate, when do applications close for the NYC Small Business Continuity Loan, or has it been announced yet?
There's no deadline for the New York City Small Business Continuity Loan. I would suggest applying as soon as you are able to. We will be serving applications on a first come, first served basis. The intention is that this program will exist as we are able to also help businesses access the SBA programs. And so as soon as you have your documentation ready, including your tax returns, your bank statements, please go ahead and submit so that we can get you in the queue. There is no way that we can people have asked the question I saw in the feed, can I tell where I am in line in terms of my application being processed? You will be notified by an SBS representative once your application is being reviewed. If you go into your SBS Connect portal where you initially completed the application, you will also see that there's a status change. So in some cases, if we have contacted you for additional documents, you'll see that status change to contacted. If we have qualified you and approved you to move forward to the second part of the application, which is completing the link with the lender, you will also see that in your SBS Connect application. So I would go back and review the application portal. That's a good way to see kind of where your application currently is being processed. Additionally, you will be getting an SPS representative reaching out to you, and they can be a good point of contact for questions regarding time frame. Worst comes to worst, we have a support queue that we are managing on a daily basis. So if you have any questions, you can go to the SBS Connect website. Right on the main page, there is an area where you can click for additional support and put in a support ticket related to either the grant program or the loan program. So please use that if you are unable to get in touch with your SBS representative.
And I just want to say briefly that this entire webinar event has been recorded and is being recorded. So for those of you that entered a little bit later, you will receive the full recording, and you'll receive more information, including the PowerPoint that we use that goes through the grant program, the loan program, and some of the federal programs. So we have another question here. Kate, I submitted an application for the New York City Employee Retention Grant yesterday, was not able to upload the supporting documents and raised a ticket. Is there an email I should submit for the supporting documents? We know this is a problem a lot of people have had with supporting documents, so if you want to just speak briefly to that, Kate.
Well, you can imagine that when the city announces a grant program, the entire system is overloaded at once by thousands of New Yorkers. So what is happening is not unique to anybody. Yesterday, I will say we had a lot of tech issues because there was such a high volume of people applying on our website. My suggestion, we have resolved the issue with the document upload failure. So my suggestion is to please try and go back into your portal and upload those documents again today. You did the right thing in submitting a ticket. Again, we are processing hundreds, if not yesterday, I think thousands of tickets related to this issue. Again, the bug has been fixed, so please try to go ahead and upload those documents. And if you're still having issues, please submit another support ticket.
Another question for you, Kate. Can a business owner use PayPal payment statements as a payroll proof for the New York City grant?
I have not seen those. My suggestion, if it indicates specifically the individuals who are getting paid, it indicates the 8-week period in which they've been paid, and specifically demonstrates the amount that you have paid them, that should be sufficient. I would suggest uploading that in an application. Just be sure it meets that criteria. There's another question. I'm unable to edit an existing application. Is editing being fixed? This was also brought up yesterday. I just want to clarify, if you're trying to go back into your actual application, log into your SBS Connect account. At the upper corner on the right-hand banner, there is a tab that says My Records. Within My Records is where you're going to find your actual application for the grant or the loan. Please go into click on your actual record for this application and try to re-enter and resubmit documents through your My Records tab. I recognize there was also some issues yesterday. I do not believe that bug has been fixed yet. So if you can please give us till the end of the day to try and go back in. If you're still having issues, it should be resolved by that point.
We're going to be ending in just a couple minutes now. Kate and Ramona, if you could just give us a brief overview of what we learned today. Kate, if you wouldn't mind explaining again the grant and the loan program and what the deadline is for the grant program. And Ramona, if you wouldn't mind explaining what are the federal programs available right now. And I'll pull up the PowerPoint so people can see the links where they can go to learn more.
Great. So I can get started. Again, we talked about two different products that the mayor announced in early March, one being a employee retention grant. This grant is eligible for businesses that have fewer than 5 employees, are located within New York City, and the total amount of the grant goes up to $27,000 per business. All businesses who are applying for this program as well as the loan need to be able to demonstrate the 25% decrease in revenue, as well as the other eligibility criteria indicated on the eligibility guidelines list. For the small business continuity loan, this loan is for New York City businesses that have fewer than 99 employees. The loan is specifically intended to be support for businesses who are attempting to maintain their operations, so it can be utilized for things such as working capital or for payroll. For the loan, individuals can apply for up to $75,000. The interest rate is at 0%. The terms are at 5 years, and there's a 6-month deferred payment period. All applicants who apply for this loan, they must be located in New York City. They must be in operations for at least 2 years, and will need to be able to demonstrate the 25% decrease. In sum, there is currently an application deadline for the Employee Retention Grant Program that is effective tomorrow at 5 p.m. There is no application deadline for the Small Business Continuity Loan Program. Those applications are currently rolling, and I suggest people apply as we are following up on a first-come, first-served basis. I think that's about it. All resources can, regarding these two products, if you can go back to the initial slide, Cody. Again, all resources are listed on our, one more slide, on our New York City website. So go to nyc.gov/COVID-19 business. There you'll be able to get not only the eligibility criteria, but also the links to the two applications. We've also included some information on some of the SBA programs, so it can really be a tool for all of these products.
Great. And Ramona, if you wouldn't mind just giving a brief overview of the federal programs that are available right now through the SBA in particular.
Yes, and let me know if you don't hear me, and I will. Okay, let me know if you don't hear me, and I'll try to get. I'm trying to get headphones. How is the sound now? Is it better?
It's a little better.
Okay, hold on. Let me try. You have done this before.
And for those people that are asking about questions that weren't answered now, we're going to provide a link at the end of the PowerPoint where you could submit your questions directly to SBS.
Okay, let me know how the sound is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we spoke about the Paycheck Protection Program, and the goal of this program is to help business owners retain their staff. The loan is going to be based on your average monthly payroll, and you are qualified for 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. This is available for businesses that have less than 500 employees and were in operations as of February 15, 2020. It is available to all business structures, so sole proprietorships, S-corps, LLCs, independent contractors. You have the ability to defer payments for up to 12 months, and the repayment period that is known as of today is 2 years. And this loan is available through your bank. So work with your banking institutions to start applying for this. If you retain your staff, you can get a forgiveness on the portion equal to 8 weeks of operating expenses. So if you have a staff of 5 when you apply for the loan and you keep those 5 through the pandemic, you can get a loan forgiveness of 8 weeks of operating expenses, which includes your rent, your marketing expense, your insurance expense. You can apply starting tomorrow and through June 2020. So that's the Paycheck Protection Program, which is available through the CARES Act. We also have the Emergency Economic Injury Loan through SBA, which was in place before the CARES Act was signed. But now the CARES Act added a grant, which is an advance of the loan, but you don't have to repay it. once you apply for this loan, you can get a grant of $10,000. And even if you do not get approved for the loan, you still don't have to repay this $10,000 back. If you apply for the economic injury loan before the CARES Act was signed, and you're interested in applying or converting to a PPP loan, you can, and you get some of the features that the PPP loan has. And then at that point, any forgiveness of the PPP loan will be adjusted by the grant that you received through the emergency loan. I didn't mention this before, but this loan is only available through the SBA website. So that if you go to SBA.com, you can apply for this loan. Oh, the sound is much better. There was a lot of background noise and I was probably screaming. Thank you. So for the emergency loan, you can apply through the SBA website, and you can apply from today through, this has been available for a few days, but this is open through December 2020. And other resources that I mentioned before was the debt relief provision of the CARES Act. And this is available for anyone who had a loan before the CARES Act through SBA, and anyone who applies for one of the new loans within the next 6 months. Who applies for one of these types of loans that we have here, the SBA 7A, 504, and a microloan from the day the CARES Act was signed through the next 6 months. This provision allows borrowers to get 6 months of their principal and interest payments and fees forgiven. And this is something that you can do with loans that are not the PPP loan. Keep that in mind. A few other resources that I mentioned were the deferral of income tax payments, which we know about through July 2020, July 15th. Employers can defer payments of their employers' payroll taxes and also sales taxes. And there is a payroll tax credit available on some eligible wages that you pay to your employees throughout the pandemic.
Thank you so much for that, Ramona. So we are coming to the end of our event today. Thank you everyone for your patience in joining us today. One other thing to mention, if you are interested in receiving a one-on-one credit consultation that will focus on what grant and their loan applications are good for you based on your credit score, you can register at WE.NYC and click on the link that pops up, or you can use this bit.ly link that is right up here in red. It's bit.ly/COVID consultation. So you can register for that directly for a one-on-one consultation. Again, this entire event has been recorded, and we will be sharing it with everyone who wasn't able to enter the platform today. And we plan to be doing more events like this. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much, Ramona. And thank you so much, Kate. And thank you, Ian, as well, who was our partner in putting this together, and Women.nyc. And we'll be in touch with you all soon.
Thank you.
Connect.nyc.gov/contact.